This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're going to be staring down the railroad tracks because we're going to be trying to build these and get around to other railroad networks. We're also going to be on roads and building roads as well and trying to make those go to networks. We'll also find ourselves in stations that will be joining the two of them. Today we're taking a look at Railroad Inc. This is published by Horrible Games and co-published by CMON here in North America. This is a roll and write style game for 1 to 6 players. Let me show you how it works. I'll see you on the other side. For 1 to 6 players, but both of them have some things that are unique about them that I'll show you towards the end of this video. Each player gets one of these player boards. It has a little shield here that helps you out as you play the game. There's 4 dice in the base game. These dice will get rolled once in the center each turn, and then everybody's using the same 4 dice simultaneously. What you're trying to do is, over the course of the game, there's different networks as you see here. The lines like this are trains, and the roads like this have the lines in the middle. They alternate from road, train, all the way around. You're trying to connect as many of these as you can generally, because in final scoring, you'll get a certain amount of points depending on how many of those networks you've connected. For example, if you're able to get all 12 of them connected in one big thing, you'll get 45 points just for that. So it's one of the main things you're trying to do is connect a lot of networks. But you'll also be getting points for your longest road, your longest train, and anything in this red square that you've done. But you'll also be getting minus points for any routes that are not completed. So let's go like this. We have these 4. Let's show you what one round might look like. So let's say after this first round, by the way, everyone gets one of these cool Railroad Ink pens. It has a pen and a eraser on it. Now, these are the 4 dice that everyone's using, and it shows you the dice distribution here. Actually, the first 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those are the 6 sides of 3 of the dice, and one of the dice basically have these 3 types of things, 2 of each of them on there that you can use. So there's sort of 1 specialized dice, and 3 of the main dice. Now when you're drawing these, you have to use all 4 of the ones that were there. I think it looked just like this. And when you draw, you either have to be drawing from a network or from a connected one. Like I couldn't just put one here to the middle of nowhere. You have to start building off networks and or off things that you're already using. Now when you're done and you're okay with this, you put the little round number. This game's over 6 rounds. So we put the 1s to make sure that we know where we've placed when, so you can go back and if you made errors, you can kind of figure out what happened there. Also, these things are also here because as these dice come out, you can just make like little tick marks next to them, so you can kind of sit back in your chair and relax, and you don't have to keep looking up at the dice. This allows you to keep your eyes close to your board and easier to figure out which way things should go. Also, these can be flipped any way. So like if I have this, it could go like this, this, or this. Same with this. They can always be rotated any way you want. Those are like the main real rules. Now here's what my board looked like at the end of one of my recent games. Now you play 7 rounds in the base game, 6 for the expansion, which I'll go over later. And there's these special moves too that I haven't yet talked about, where 3 times per game, but only once per round, in addition to the 4 dice that you have to draw, you can optionally draw any of these. Now you can only draw 1 per round, and once it's drawn, you cross it off so you can't do it again. So I only used 2 of the 3, which probably wasn't great, but you can use up to 3 of them, 1 per round, never duplicate. So here you can see, look at this, I got this little train, it went to a station, it went to the road, and then it went here, went to a station out to here, came down, went to another station, went out to here. This one's not too bad. This was just like 2 little network connections here. So what we typically do is you put little A's on the networks that are connected. So I had 2 connected here, 2 different ones connected here, I made those B's, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those connected together like that. So the 7 would get me 24 points, and the 2 2s would get me 4 each. So I got 32 points of just the network connections. Then we're going to look at my longest road, and you'll get the 1 point for each. And I had 11 for my longest road. You'll do the same for the train. I got 5. I had 5 squares filled out in the red, 1 point for each of those. Then each network that's not connected to anything, meaning it's open to somewhere, you put a little X there, and those are all minus points. I got minus 5. You add them up, I get 48. Whoever has the most is the winner. Now let's go into the mini expansions. Each of the games, the blue and the red, have 2 different mini expansions. Here's the first of the blue. It's the rivers. These dice get rolled along with the other 4. You still have to take all 4 normal dice. These are optional. You can take either or none or both. And you're drawing rivers. Now you can make multiple rivers. In this game, I only had one big long river. And you can, they basically cannot go to any networks. You're trying to get them to kind of go off the board and be completed, because if you ever have any rivers that are incompleted, they'll get X's and minuses just like the normal incomplete routes do. Now at the end of the game, you'll just choose one of your rivers. If you had multiple, you just choose one, and you get 1 point for each spot that is the river, and you get 3 additional points if it actually is closed off, going off like this. So that river actually got me 12 total points. And notice that some of them kind of turn, some of them go straight, some of them have, you know, a railroad or a road going through them, so they're all different. They're kind of fun to play with. The other expansion in the blue box is the Lakes expansion. So it comes with 2 dice. These get rolled. You must take the 4 base ones. They're optional. You can use one or none or both of these, and they don't have to be connected. You could draw one up here, one down here. It doesn't matter. But as you're connecting these, you're creating a big lake. If ever there's like sort of 3 lakes edges, then the middle gets filled up with water like this. And what these do is they're sort of ferries, because they have different train. Look at the different stations. The train comes into here. So what this does, it allows you to really connect your routes easier. So this one comes up to here, goes into the, that one actually got blocked. This one comes up to here and goes into here. These are stations. So these are like ferries. This allows this to get connected to this, which allows this to get connected to this. So these two are actually connected. So is this one. So it allows you to sort of do some really interesting things with connecting. And your points essentially is you're gonna get 1 point for each space occupied by your smallest lake, so 2 more points there. So the bonuses might be small, but this is going to allow you to get sometimes a lot more points for the networks. Now here we have the red version of the game. It has red boards. Again, the base game is the same, but it comes with 2 expansions as well. The first one is the Crater expansion. Now this is mandatory. Unlike the blue dice and the blue expansions, those were optional. These are mandatory that you must use the dice. At the beginning of the game, in the middle, a crater starts. And begin with the first round, you use the first 4 normal dice as normal, and then you have to do this. This tells you which direction the meteor is moving, and this shows you how much. So on turn 1, it started in the center, and then it moved 1 here. Round 1, the crater was there. Round 2, it ended up moving 1 this way. Then it ended up moving way up here, because it can move 1, 2, or 3. I think there's 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3 on here, so you know it can move up to 3, and it can move in different directions, and sometimes it'll even move in a direction that you get to say where it moves. Now when it moves into something, if there's a track there, it will actually erase it and destroy it and put the crater there. But if at the end of the game you connect networks to these craters, you're getting resources and you get points. For each of these that you connect, you get 2 points. So here I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 points for bonuses of the crater. Also, you know, if it hits the end, it actually comes back and things like that. There's some little rules like that, but essentially it's destroying things, but you can actually get points from them in the end. Now on the final expansion for the red dice, just like before, you have to use these. You have to use at least one of them. There is a volcano in the middle at the beginning, and this is all lava and a volcano, and once per round you have to take at least one of these dice and draw the lava lake, but you can take 2. Also on your turn you can create one new volcano, and I did that on 2 different turns, turns 1 and 2 actually, and put them in the corner, because if you're able to close off a lava lake all the way like we did here, you get 5 points for each of those at the end of the game. So I was able to do that there, and then here at the end the lava will be worth 1 for your largest lava lake, but if they're not finished, you'll also get 1 point X's just like you do in the base game. So here I got 5 points, 5 more for 10. I got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, minus 2. I got 13 bonus points for my lava lake. All right, let's first start with the production of the boards that I like. Very good quality. I've erased on them a ton already. They're not chipping at all. They feel really good. I like how they're very functional for tracking the dice, where when you play with a lot of players, the dice are in the middle, you can look quick and put which ones they are, and then kind of sit back and relax and think about what's going on. So I like the aspect of that, because it definitely it helps the game go faster and more fluid, and keeps you from looking up and looking down and just kind of look right at your board. So I definitely like that. I also like the markers with the erasers. Sometimes roll and writes come with games without erasers. I don't know why that would happen these days, but they definitely did it. The markers wrote well and erased well. They didn't smudge or anything like that. Now I like this game is definitely a spatial puzzly roll and write game. Now I typically prefer the sort of more mathy things, but this one definitely has some interesting things that you're trying to connect together. And I love puzzly games, and this definitely falls in that niche. I like trying to connect those networks where when you place anything, you've got to do it on either a network or something that you've already placed. And so sometimes you're connecting it to networks now. Sometimes you're starting to move some other areas that you've already been working on. Sometimes you're like looking around and be like, okay, I'll put this one over here. I'll get to that one later. I'll put this one over here. But I like that you're trying to really connect as many of those as networks as you can, or maybe just having 2 of them that connect a good amount of them. But I like that you're trying to connect them and that each one of those alternates, so it really changes how you think about things. I really like that aspect. The longest road and longest track, and the center. So other things to think about as you're scoring, because it's not just about the networks. Now the networks you're probably going to get the most points about but you still have those other things to think about. Well, you know what? I'm going to try to get this really long road 1 point apiece, same for the track and same for that center space that, you could probably just like go around the edge and not think about it, but it's another area to get points, sort of point salad wise. I like that you can't really leave these open routes because they're all worth minus points. So another thing to think about. Well, I got this dice, it's not really doing me any good over here. If I put it over here, it's going to open another network. It's just going to cost me another point, so I'll make this one go into the edge of the board, over here, so it doesn't cost me an open network there. So I like that you're trying to. There's a lot of things, a lot of plates spinning, if you will, that you're trying to manage. I like that you're trying to work on different areas. So you over here, over here, over here, and you know what the dice do. You clearly can see it on your board on that flip-up sheet, and you're like, okay, I can put this here, and later on I'm going to look for this die here. When I get it, it's going right here. So I like that there's some future planning once you know the game well, and you're trying to figure out, well, what's going to go where, and hoping to get those and know where to place them when they get down there. I like that the player count is only limited to the number of copies that you have. I like that because sometimes I go and do big events for kids, and I like to do things where you can have 100 kids all doing something at the same time, and this is one of those. In the rules, there's also a QR code. I didn't show this in the overview, but you can scan that to get a player aid. So you theoretically, if I was going to a convention with a bunch of kids and I wanted to run this game, you could have people do it with pencil and paper as well, and you could have a ton of people doing it. I love the mini expansions. I love that they add depth, they bring new challenges, and that they're very different between the 2 different versions. It's an interesting thing. We've seen games like Century Spice Road come out with the Golem edition, and it's the same exact game but 2 completely different themes and looks, where this one has just a different look, but it not just a different look actually, it just has the different colors. But the bigger thing is not the look in this case, it's that they actually have both 2 very different expansions in each of the boxes. So it's kind of cool, I like that. From the expansions, I liked one, in the blue expansion, I liked the rivers better than the lakes. And in the other expansion, I liked the craters better than I liked the lava. The ones that tend to be less spatially inept, I liked better because I'm not as good as the spatial stuff. So if you really like spatial stuff, maybe you'll think the exact opposite, but they're all very good. I also talked to the designers a little bit, and they said it's not in the rules, but sometimes they play with playing only 5 rounds and using any 2 of the expansions from there, mixing and matching one of the reds and one of the blues. So you might want to try that out. I haven't tried it yet, but that's something that they had talked to me about. Anything negative? Well, this is definitely multiplayer solitaire. There's absolutely 0 interaction with other players. The positive side of that is, as I mentioned, you can play with a ton of people at once, with just, a copy of the game. The bad thing is, well, some people like more interactions. I typically like a lot of interaction with my games, but when I was a kid, I'd sit in bed and I'd do logic puzzles by myself all the time. I still do those from time to time. So I don't mind a solo game when there's other people because you can see what everyone did differently. But the advanced side really helped with keeping this to the point where even though it's you're playing the same game, it really just ratcheted up, the depth there. And the base game is quite fine on its own, honestly. The other negative is, this is a crunchier, thinkier spatial. Even though it's a little roll and write and it's a shorter game, maybe 30 minutes, there's definitely a lot of thinking going on. And if you have someone in your group that has analysis paralysis, they could hold the whole group up. So you might want to just kind of have a timer or something like that if that happens. But this game is very thinky. So it might definitely be too spatial for some. Because it's definitely not. I typically prefer those mathier number type puzzles where you're doing numbers and this and that. But even with that being said, I like this a lot. I really enjoy it. So it is going to be getting a saxophone serenade. So let's add it to the gaming library. This has been the Game Boy Geek, helping you find and enjoy the next board game you'll love.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.